Hello everyone, Geordie's Basement coming to you live from southern New Jersey with another video. And last couple of videos we talked about some bands that were deservedly elected into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year, finally, after a long wait. And that would be the Cars and the Moody Blues. If you haven't seen those videos, please check them out. A lot of fun doing those and showing the albums and reminiscing about two very deserving bands. Today I wanted to talk to you about a band that is not being elected into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year. They're already in. I'm talking about Queen. And Queen is getting another award this year, ironically, just for being around a long time, a Lifetime Achievement Award at the Grammy Awards. Now, I am not a huge Grammy Award guy. I watch the Grammys for two reasons. Number one, certainly not for the music awards, nothing to do with it. Number one is to see the performances. That's mainly why I watch the Grammys. At least once every award show, you'll get a really great performance that's worthy of watching for the couple hours that you're sitting in front of your TV. So that's number one. And the number two is for these kinds of things, these lifetime awards, or an award that spans a band or an artist's career work. And this year, Queen is that band. And of course, if you're my age, you were born in the late '60s, then Queen's probably a big part of your musical upbringing. So I'm excited for them. Unfortunately, obviously, Freddie's not there. He's been gone for 26 years already. Crazy. But it'll be nice to see the guys inducted and still touring and doing all those things. It's wonderful for Queen. So good for them. Thumbs up. But Queen has been important to me, and I've been thinking about this a lot lately. How you ended up here in your musical journey. Not to get too deep, but Queen's important to me for two reasons. Number one, I grew up with them. In the late '70s. Where am I going with that? There you go. They were a band that I loved very much. Growing up on FM radio in the late '70s, here we had WMMR and WYSP in the Philadelphia area, and they loved Queen. And the sound was so unique, the vocals, the harmonies, the instrumentation, everything. I was hooked right away. And I'm one of those guys for Queen fans that we would probably have arguments. I prefer later day Queen. I love early Queen. But right around this era here, 78, 79, 80, is when it all changed for me. It got better. This is really the album that it got better with, in my opinion. Again, this is up for debate. You can comment if you'd like, and we can have a debate. But The Game is the album that really changed it all for me. A classic album, in my opinion. A lot of great songs on this, very deep. And I liked everything that came after it. I liked everything that came before it. I love A Night at the Opera. I love News of the World. I love all of those albums. But it all kind of changed for me with this. And so anyway, I was a Queen fan all the way up until the end. Matter of fact, I feel that Innuendo, which was their final studio album with Freddie, is one of their best. It may be their best studio album front to back. I know there are going to be people that are going to say, no, the first album, or the second album, or News of the World, or Night at the Opera. I understand that, and there's good arguments for that. In my opinion, Innuendo from front to back, we could do a whole episode just on that album alone. Phenomenal, and such an untimely thing, him passing away. But anyway, so where was I going with this? Oh yes, Queen getting their Lifetime Award and why they're so important to me. The second reason why Queen is so important to me, and by the way, this is a great album too, A Kind of Magic. This is like a soundtrack to a movie called Highlander. Had a lot of great songs on it. Mid-'80s Queen, a little strange on the cover, but Queen was always very creative where it came to album art. But anyways, the second reason why Queen was important to me is because I was, like I said, born of the '70s and '80s rock radio, and in the late '70s, early '80s, I kind of morphed sort of with the times from Cheap Trick and Journey and Foreigner and Styx in Boston into British heavy metal. I became a metalhead, and I was into Priest and Maiden and Sabbath and Dio and you name it. I was into that metal stuff. And then that kind of morphed along the way. And in like 83, 84, 85, I went, pop metal, dare I say hair metal, I hate that term, pop metal. And I became like a Bon Jovi, Def Leppard, Warrant, all of that stuff now that I really don't much like anymore. But that was my late 80s life. But it was party rock. It was still FM radio rock. And then 1990 happened. 1991 happened. And everything went to crap. To say, to be nice. Everything went to crap. You know what I mean? Unless you were born in the early 80s, late 70s, where the 90s were your thing. I know a lot of those people. It wasn't for me. I tried so hard to like music in the 90s, and it just wasn't happening. Nothing was working. I tried the Dave Matthews Band. I tried the Red Hot Chili Peppers. They were okay. I tried Jane's Addiction, Pearl Jam. I tried them all. I really wanted to like music in the 90s. It just wasn't happening. And then in 1994, I remember spending the entire weekend sitting on my couch watching Woodstock 94, the MTV coverage with Kennedy and those MTV VJs in New York. And just trying to, Green Day was on, and they were throwing mud and all that. And I just remember watching it and just not being into it. Like, music has gone to crap, and it really was very depressing. And it was a long time. That was a long period of time there, 4 or 5 years, where music just wasn't there for me. So right around 1996 or 90, I think it was early 97, I happened across a website that's actually still in existence today. It's called melodicrock.com. It's a plug for my friend Andrew at melodicrock.com. But back then it wasn't called Melodic Rock. It didn't have its own URL back then. It was some long, winding URL. And I happened across it. And it was a melodic rock, website. So it talked a lot about Survivor, and it was a little bit less heavy than I would like, and more melodic, more vocals, more that kind of thing. Still better than the stuff that I was hearing at the time. But they had a forum. They had a forum where you'd go in, back in the old internet days, you could type in the forum and get a response like a day later. And so I was in the forum, and I used to read the forum a lot, and I learned a lot from the forum. Actually picked up a lot of music from the forum. But one day I just got so frustrated, I put up a post, and I didn't want to say heavy metal, I didn't want to say hard rock, I didn't want to be so general as to get all these suggestions. So I said Queen. I said, I'm looking for a band that sounds like these guys around this album. I don't remember the exact post. I bet you that Andrew could look in the archives and find my post. I was called Jordan from Jersey, I believe, or Geordie from Jersey. I don't know what I was. Something from Jersey. Probably Jordan from Jersey. And I posted, looking for a band that sounds like Queen around this time period. And I need bands like that. There's got to be music like this out there amongst the Pearl Jams, amongst the Stone Temple Pilots, the Dave Matthews, and all that 90s stuff that did nothing for me. There had to be good music out there. And I got a couple responses. I only remember one of the responses. And it was from a guy named Laurent. And I think he was in the Netherlands. This sounds like I'm making this shit up. But he's from the Netherlands. And he said something to the effect of, give me your mailing address, I'm going to send you a tape. So I gave him my mailing address, and he sent me 2 cassette tapes. The first cassette tape, I can make another video about, contained one side with a Dutch pop artist called Valencia Clarkson, and the side 2 was another Dutch artist called Robbie Valentine. Both got really into those guys. A whole nother genre, not the point of this video. The second tape changed everything for me. It had, I think side 1 was Glenn Hughes, like a greatest hits of Glenn Hughes solo work, and side 2, actually I think it was both Glenn Hughes. Actually, that tape. Sorry. Yes, definitely both sides were Glenn Hughes. So the one tape was supposed to be my Queen reference tape, which was this Valencia Valentine thing. The second one was this Glenn Hughes thing, and it was the first time I had heard Glenn Hughes. He'd been around for 25, 30 years. He'd been around for 25 years, I think, since Trapeze, like in the early 70s. I never knew who he was. I wasn't into Deep Purple then. I very much am now, as a result of pretty much this incident. I listened to the Glenn Hughes tape side 1 and 2, and I kept on listening to it. Flipping the cassette in the car in 1990, whatever it was, 97, and I was like I was rediscovering music. I went online to CD Europe, or CD Baby or whatever it was back then. It certainly wasn't Amazon. And I purchased the Glenn Hughes discography slowly but surely on CD. And I began to collect that, and it started this second wave of music love for me. And I haven't looked back since. Obviously now I've graduated into a lot of different genres, including primarily progressive rock, which the Valencia and Valentine stuff sort of led me to in a strange way. I'll talk about that in another video. But Queen, as a result of all this, taking back the steps at the beginning of the video, Queen is where this all started. You know, this is what I wanted. And Laurent in the Netherlands, wherever you are, I would love to reconnect with you somehow, because I just wanted to tell you how much you changed me. And you really didn't, I want to say changed me. It's not like, you know, I mean, you certainly pointed my eyes in the right direction. And from there I found bands like King's X. And once I found King's X, it was just, you know, the sky was the limit after that. Still a big fan. Very underrated King's X. Again, the subject of another video. But I just wanted to thank you and talk a little bit about Queen. So there are a couple of Queen records. There's a couple more in the collection behind me that I didn't want to, you know, this is not necessarily an entire discography show, but I'm way short on these. I don't have nearly all of them. And one of my goals is to get that box set. That's amazing looking, but it's like $380 or something. So I'm saving up for that. But in any case, I just want to talk about Queen and congratulate them for a really cool honor this year at the Grammy Awards, which are in a couple weeks, I believe. They're in February, I think. I'm guessing. I will be watching, and I hope you will too. Anyways, thank you very much, guys, for watching. I appreciate it. Check out the other videos on the channel. Let me know if you like them or if you don't like them, and more to come. All right? Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.